Now page 13 of your book, here we have to discuss the body mass index, and this is very important topic. So let's start. One way to find out if adults are undernourished is to calculate what nutrition scientists call BMI, that is body mass index, and this is very easy to calculate. Take the weight of the person in kg, then take the height in meters. So weight, we need weight and height. Divide the weight by the square of the height. If this figure is less than 18.5, then the person would be considered undernourished. However, if this BMI is more than 25, then the person is overweight. Do remember that this criteria is not applicable to the growing children. Now, we have to discuss now Human Development Report. Let's see what this report says. Till now we have seen that level of income is important, yet it is an inadequate measure of the level of development. It is important, but still it is inadequate measure. Now we have to think of other criteria also. There could be the long list of such criteria, but then it would not be so useful. So we need is a small number of the most important things on which we can judge the development of the country, the overall development of the country. Over the past decades or so, health and education indicators have come to be widely used along with the income as a measure of development. Human Development Report published by UNDP, that is United Nations Development Program. So the Human Development Report is published by UNDP, United Nations Development Program. It compares countries based on educational levels of the people, their health status and per capita income. So the World Bank is taking only one criteria, that is the income criteria, and now here the UNDP is taking all these criteria into account, that is educational level, health status and per capita income. Now on page 13, table 1.6 is given. Let's see to it. Here they are talking about HDI, that is HDI means here the Human Development Index is an index which was prepared by United Nations Development Program that ranks countries in order of development, and they give the ranking to the countries in the order of their development. And the HDI uses the dimensions of health, as I told you, health parameters, education, living standards to determine human development. So these things also, the quality of life, health, literacy rate, education, all these parameters are also taken into account. Health is indicated by life expectancy at birth. So now what are the three components of HDI? Please keep in mind: per capita income, life expectancy and literacy rate. The term per capita income and the literacy rate we have discussed earlier also. Now let's see what is life expectancy. So it is the average expected length of life of a person at the time of birth. Now moving to page 14, if we look at table 1.6 on page 13, then isn't it surprising that a small country in our neighborhood, Sri Lanka, is much ahead in every respect? That is, if we talk of per capita income, life expectancy at birth, literacy rate. So in all parameters, Sri Lanka is better than India, and a big country like ours has such a low rank in the world. Table 1.6 also shows that though Nepal has half the per capita of India, yet it is not far behind India in life expectancy and literacy level. So after this, many improvements have been suggested in calculating HDI, and many new components have also been added to the Human Development Report. But what is important in development is what is happening to the citizens of a country. It is people, their health, their well-being that is most important. In what respect is the criteria used by the UNDP for measuring development different from one used by the World Bank? Now we have to discuss this. So now we have to discuss in what respect the criteria used by UNDP for measuring development different from the World Bank. So now let's see. As I told you, UNDP has taken education, health, life expectancy and other components as the base for development. And on the other hand, World Bank has taken per capita income as the base for economic development. So here is the difference. World Bank is using only one parameter and UNDP is using many other parameters as well. So UDP, it is a broad concept as it takes into account all the important components of human development, and World Bank, it is a narrow concept as it takes into account only income as the base. So UNDP is a broader concept. They are using so many parameters in order to judge the developmental levels of the country, and the World Bank is using only one concept, that is the income. Now the UNDP has ranks the different components of development, and for example, India has been awarded the 130th rank. This is according to the report of 2015, and the World Bank has divided the countries into low, upper and high income countries, and according to the report of 2015, India comes under the lower middle income group. So this is how we differentiate UNDP and the World Bank. Now moving to page 14 of your book, here now we have to discuss the sustainability of development. In this we have to discuss sustainable development, and it is the process of economic development which aims at maintaining the quality of life of both the present and the future generations without harming the natural resources and environment. So if at present a particular country is developed, so we would certainly like that this level of development to go up further, or at least be maintained for future generation. But the number of scientists have been warning that the present type and the levels of development are not sustainable. Now on the same page 14, example is given of the groundwater in India. Recent evidence suggests that the groundwater is under serious threat of overuse in many parts of our country. So this is a serious issue, students. Nearly 1/3 of the country is overusing their groundwater resources. Now groundwater overuse is particularly found in the agricultural prosperous regions of Punjab, UP, South India, Central India and some coastal areas and urban settlements also. In rural areas, farmers mostly go for rice and wheat crops, since these are procured under PDS by the government, and they even get the MSP for this. For rice cultivation, more water is required, and in urban areas also, due to more population, pressure is there on these resources which are already scarce. Now question arises, why groundwater is overused? So I told you groundwater is overused due to uncertainty of monsoon and scarcity of water. Again, the agriculturally rich regions of Punjab, Western UP, they grow water intensive crops. So now the question arises, can there be development without overuse? Certainly, there can be development without overuse. We should use it in an economic manner, in a judicious manner. We can use drip irrigation, sprinkler system, rainwater harvesting system. So these are the solution and need of the hour also now. Now moving to page 15, now groundwater is an example of renewable resource. Renewable resources are those resources which can be renewed, this in a short time, and these are the free gifts of nature. And in the case of groundwater, if we use more than what is being replenished by rain, then we would be overusing this resource. And non-renewable resources are those which will get exhausted after years of use. Non-renewable resources are those resources which cannot be renewed in a short time span, this so we have a fixed stock on the earth which cannot be replenished, and we do discover new resources, so these new sources in this way add to the stock. Now on page 15, only example is given about exhaustion of natural resources, and table 1.7 gives crude oil reserves It also tells us for how many years the stock of crude oil will last, and this is for the world as a whole. However, different countries face different situation. Countries like India depend on importing oil from abroad because we don't have enough stocks of our own, and if prices of oil increases, this becomes a burden for everyone. And countries like USA, they also have a low reserves and they want to secure oil through military operations. This in countries like Iraq. Now question arises, is crude oil essential for the development process in a country? Yes, of course it is essential. It not only provides petrol and diesel for transportation, but its byproducts are also very useful, like it provides LPG, domestic fuel, which is very essential for community. Biochemical industry is also based on its byproducts provide life, giving medicines and many other useful things, including fertilizers to increase the food production. Now, India has to import crude oil. What problems do you anticipate for the country? So we don't have enough stocks of crude oil, so we import it. But in present scenario, the crude oil reserves of the world would last only 40 to 43 years or more. So it is an alarming situation for India as well. But India is rich in various other potential sources of non-conventional energy, like solar energy, wind energy, hydroelectricity, thermal energy, tidal energy, and India is having largest coal reserves also, which can be used to generate energy. So these sources need to be harnessed efficiently. So need of the hour is that we have to move to the non-conventional sources of energy. So if we use our existing resources judiciously and harness the available resources efficiently, I think there won't be any problem. So now moving to page 16. So this we have seen that if we spoil our environment, then we have to face consequences also. And this issue of environmental degradation is no longer region or nation specific, because future of whole world is linked together. And sustainability of development is the area where scientists, philosophers and social scientists are working together. So this is a new area where the scientists are working. In journal, the question of development or progress is perennial, means it is ever flowing. So at all times, as a member of society and as individual, we need to ask where we want to go and what our goals are. So the debate on development continues. So that is all, student, with your chapter 1 development. For any query, please feel free to ask. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care.